The visits never get any easier, but this is the only way Judy Cook can spend time with her son. And so this is how they've been meeting for most of the past 10 years.
Time doesn't heal anything, but it changes things.
Judy has had little choice but to deal with those changing emotions as they come, and as they remind her of the worst day of her life.
Oh, I think of 9/11 all the time.
A neighbor called Judy early on September 11th, 2001, and told her to turn on the TV. Judy did, and saw the North Tower of the World Trade Center burning. The sight immediately shook her, but before Judy's heart sunk, she instinctively started counting. She knew her son Denny was in the North Tower, where he worked as a bond trader on the 104th floor.
And I was kind of, looking at the top, the very top, and kind of try to count down to see where he would be.
But as the morning wore on, the tower collapsed, and no one had heard from Denny.
I kept trying to block the reality out of my mind that it could have been something really bad that he would have been affected by. But as time went on watching the TV, and then as the telephone calls started to come, I knew that it was really bad.
Days later, when word still had not come, blocking reality was no longer an option.
I can still remember the feeling of it. It was so bad. It was such a terrible, horrible, empty feeling to know that he had been killed.
Denny Cook, the middle of 3 brothers, all Lancaster Catholic grads, was the kind of guy where every cloud had a silver lining. Married to his sweetheart and was watching his 2 daughters come into the world. They barely knew life, let alone life without their father. But now the whole Cook family knows how that feels.
Initially, it was physically painful. I couldn't even cope. Just the thought on a daily basis of the loss of my son was too much to bear.
So Judy, who lost her husband 3 years before Denny, learned to grieve in a quiet, private way. She can talk about Denny, but won't go through old albums.
I'm always doing it on an intellectual level rather than going down to an emotional level. I can't do that.
The first time she ever met another family who lost a loved one on 9/11 and could possibly understand her pain was years after the attacks at a reunion Denny's company hosted in New York City.
But the common link for the whole day was, how old was your son? What floor did your son work on? And it was depressing. It was so depressing that I couldn't do that again.
And she has not been around another 9/11 family since. Judy has found comfort in God and has increasingly relied on her faith and family, because 10 years later, reminders of her son's death still are everywhere.
I can turn on the TV and in a while there's the towers, with all that smoke coming out, and I turn it off right away. I can't watch that. I'm watching my son being killed over and over again.
So she cherishes these moments when she can take pause in peace, away from the news, away from images of that day, because she knows that peace won't last.
Closure to me means it's over, but it's never over.
And it's a pain this mother has realized will stay with her, no matter how hard the passing years try to make the memories fade.